Now, the 4 cardinal points, these are the 4 cardinal points. We need to pay special attention to them. Once you pay special attention to these cardinal points, then you will understand astrology. Everything else is just filling in the shadows, as Thomas Burgoyne says. Get the cardinal points right and work out what's going on there. It's big. And here's what Marcus Manilius says 2,000 years ago about the cardinal points. Come now, prepare an attentive mind for learning the cardinal points. So he's telling us now, just prepare your minds for the cardinal points, because they are so pivotal to understanding, and you're going to see how. You're going to walk away from here today and you're going to go, wow, okay, now I get it. Because of the cardinal points. 4 in all, they have positions in the firmament permanently fixed and receive in succession the speeding signs. Oh yeah, Arians like me, they're fast, all right. They never walk, they're always running. And Cancerians, Librans and Capricorns. Motion is their modus operandi, you know, like they're moving. They are the speeding signs. But they also speed because, well, let Marcus Manilius explain. One looks out from the rising of the heavens as they are born into the world and has the first view of the earth from the level horizon. Aries. So he says one, I'll read that again. One looks out from the rising of the heavens as they are born into the world and has the first view of the earth from the level horizon. Remember, on March the 21st, it's level, equilibrium, 6 a.m, bang on, there's the sun. And has the first view of the earth from the level horizon. The second faces it from the opposite edge of the sky. Libra. The sign of Libra looks like this. What does that look like to you? Does that look like the sun going through the equator? Like the Nissan car thing, you know? Nissan, the sun going through the equator on the month of Nisan. That's Nisan in Jewish, March. So that's why Nisan has the car symbol has a sun going through the equator. Just like Libra, sun going through the equator. Okay, so much for these devilish little glyphs. Oh, the devil invented those. The point from which the starry sphere retires and hurtles headlong into Tartarus. So Libra is at the point where the starry field retires and hurtles headlong into Tartarus. This is Tartarus down here, remember? The inferior regions. In fact, inferior is how the Latins called winter. Inverno. And in fact, infernal, hell, is inferno. You just replace the V for an F. Okay? Infernal, hell, supposed to be hot, is actually another word for inverno, which is winter. The third marks the zenith of high heaven, where wearied Phobos halts with panting steeds and rests the day and determines the midpoint of shadows. Phobos, being the sun, Phobos, halts because the sun always halts at the solstices for 3 days. He stops. His 4 steeds. The sun is always travelling with 4 steeds. You'll always see it in alchemy and pictures of the sun. And these are the 4 steeds, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. How many colours are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse? Can you tell me? The white horse, the morning sun. The green horse, or the pale horse, the green of summer. The red horse, the sun setting at before sunset. The black horse, the sun in the darkness of night and winter. They are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Because the apocalypse means the revealing. See, the year, as the sun goes through those 12 signs, Jesus going with his 12 disciples, he is revealing the good and acceptable year of the Lord. So he's going around with his 4 horses, his 4 steeds. The cardinal points, they are the steeds. The 4th occupies the nadir and has the glory of forming the foundation of the sphere. In it, the stars complete their descent and commence their return. At the equal distances, it beholds their risings and settings. These points are charged with exceptional powers. And the influence they exert on fate is the greatest known to our science, because the celestial circle is totally held in position by them as by eternal supports. They are the pillars of Hercules. They are the pillars of Samson. They are the twins in the Bible. You always have Jacob and Esau, Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel, the 2 trees in the Garden of Eden. These are the 2 watchtowers. These are the 2 everything, the twins.
That's the Atlas, push those 2.
Yeah. They did not receive the circle, sign after sign in succession, flying in its perpetual revolution, and clamp it with fetters at the 2 sides and lowest and highest extremities of its compass. Heaven would fly apart and its fabric disintegrate and perish. That's how important the cardinal signs are. Each cardinal, however, enjoys a different influence. They vary according to their position, and they differ in rank. First place goes to the cardinal which holds sway at the summit of the sky and divides heaven in 2 with imperceptible meridian. Cancer, first place. She is ruled by the moon. The moon rules in Cancer, and the moon is the sphere. The moon is our mother. It's the ovaries of the solar system. Earth is also our mother, but Earth is our physical mother. The moon is the spiritual mother. Our spirit descends from the moon, from Cancer, the closest point to the Earth. You see, because of course if the sun's climbing up to the Tropic of Cancer and you're living in Italy, good old Italy, over here, well then the moon's going to be closest to you and furthest away at this point. So that's why they place the moon here and Saturn here, and it's opposite. Saturn's here and the moon is in Cancer, the cardinal point. Saturn rules this cardinal point and the moon, and they oppose each other. This guy, as you remember, the heavens, Saturn is the last heaven that we must leave, and that's the crown chakra. That's the last one. We've got to go to heaven, right? That's the metaphysical aspect of all of this. And you can see already how much you can benefit from this knowledge, can't you, spiritually, as you realise that reality is spiritual. This is phenomenal. Saturn is old man Kronos. He has the scythe, so he's the grim reaper, but he is the one that gives us our physical life. For whoever is born of flesh or in time must therefore die in time. See, the moment when the sperm of the male is received by that little egg and those 2 eggs become one, that's when spirit unites with matter and they create a Vesica Pisces in between. And that is the moment that you are baptised in death. That's the moment you begin to die, because before that you were alive. It's death. It's the baptism of death. And it comes from the womb of your mother, which is a tomb. That's why you come out from a womb and you end up in a tomb. Same word, according to Plato. Okay? So when our father, the spirit, because a sperm, you can't see that little egg. There's no way. You're not going to see it. It's a spirit. That's why they call it the spirit. The masculine part, the guy donates this little egg. And the woman does the rest in her womb. From that moment, you're dying. You're baptised in death. Therefore, you need to be purified with water. Christians get baptised and they symbolise that with water. Holy Spirit, air, when you burst your spirit chakra, the throat. And then fire, when you have the baptism of fire and you've been baptised in the Jordan. That's the story. It ain't literal like they teach it in the churches at all. It's a spiritual story. It always will be, and it's always been there. You just got to point to it and see it. If you don't see it, you're not looking. It's only for people who have eyes to see and ears to hear. And that's why the churchgoers are very keen to preach to you that, you know, that their interpretation is correct and everything like that, because they are actually being forced to do their thinking from their lower solar plexus, their lower mind, which is not evil, but it's not the higher mind. This is the land of opinion, the land of belief and faith, whereas this is the land of direct knowing, when you go up to Aries. And you're going to see how important Aries is in a minute, once I finish this with the cardinal points. So each cardinal, however, enjoys a different influence. They vary according to their position and they differ in rank. The first place goes to the cardinal, which holds sway at the summit of the sky and divides heaven in two with imperceptible meridian. Enthroned on high, this post is occupied by glory, truly a fit warden for heaven's supreme station. So all distinction and reign by awarding honours of every kind. Hence, of course, did you pick that up? By awarding honours of every kind? Of course, because it corresponds to the 9th house in astrology. And the 9th and 10th house have to do with, religion, fate, visions, authority, glory, distinction, power, career, honours, dignity, fame, profession. Of course, because the sun is in its zenith in Cancer. He is most influential. So, of course, you in your life, you're going to receive honours and glory in the prime of your life. So you see how the houses work? Take note. The cardinal points teach you this. This is the point, as it says there, I'll read it again, occupied by glory, the glory of the sun. This cardinal point is occupied by glory. It's a glorious position. It's Jesus coming into Jerusalem and being enthroned as king. Heaven's supreme station, so that she may claim all that is preeminent, arrogate all distinction, and reign by awarding honours of every kind. That's where your honours come from. Hence comes applause, splendour, and every form of popular favour. Hence the power to dispense justice in the courts, to bring the world under the rule of law, to make alliances with foreign nations and one's own terms, and win fame relative to one's station. The next point, though situate in the lowest position, bears the world poised on its eternal base. In outward aspect, its influence is less, but is greater in utility. It controls the foundations of things. This is the foundation point, right? And you'll find that it has to do with brothers and family. Brothers and family. Foundation. Your family. That's your foundation here. The 3rd and the 4th house. Okay? We'll get into that in a bit. It controls the foundations of things and governs wealth. It examines to what extent desires are accomplished by the mining of metal and what gain can issue from a hidden source. Hidden. Secret, dark and cold. That's the underworld. The 3rd cardinal, which is on the same level as the earth, holds in position the shining dawn, where the stars first rise. Aries, right? Where day returns and divides time into hours, is for this reason in the Greek world called the horoscope. That's the horoscope, because Horus is rising on the scope. And it declines a foreign name taking pleasure in its own. It declines a foreign name. It will be called the horoscope, and it does not accept any other name. Within its domain lies the arbitrament of life and the formation of character. This angle gives the formation of character. It's called the ascendant. You see, you have your sun sign and your moon sign, but the 3rd important aspect is your ascendant. And see what Marcus Manilius is saying? It defines the character. Your ascendant is telling you about your character. Those angles, those 3, where the sun is, your electric, father, and where the moon is, are the most important aspects of who you are. But the 3rd one, and probably equally as important really, is the ascendant. And that's the point that's coming up in the east. Every 2 hours it changes sign. It goes through a sign every 2 hours as it goes around. It will grant success to enterprises, open up the professions and decide the early years that await men from their birth. The education they receive and the station to which they are born according to the planets approve and mingle their influences. The last point, which puts the stars to rest after traversing heaven, puts the stars to rest because when the stars go over the horizon in the west, the Egyptians say the west is death, the east is rebirth, because the sun is born in the east every morning, but then it dies. The stars come up in the east in the zodiac belt and then they die. And that point there is Libra, 6 p.m. Right there, Judgment Day. In fact, the Jews call that September, around the 21st and 23rd, they call that day Judgment Day. That's when you cull your flocks, all right? Your little lambs and your little goats, they grow and some of them don't make it because they're lame or they're sickly. You kill them here at Judgment Day to preserve their meat for the winter. That is Judgment Day. I can give you a list. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but I can't afford to because in 20 minutes we'll have a break and I want to establish some good science before we get into astrology good. And it is concerned with the consummation of affairs and the conclusion of toil, marriages and banquets, and the closing of years of life, leisure and social intercourse and worship of the gods. That's what it has to do with, worship of the gods. And it has to do with consummation of affairs and it's concerned with the consummation and conclusion of toil. The conclusion of toil. You normally stop working here because you can't see anymore. Sunset. So you just go into your house and you eat and you prepare for sleeping, don't you? Right? Well, this is what the Jews, they have two covenants. Have you heard of the covenant of works and the covenant of rest in the Bible? That's the covenant of works because when the sun goes through there, you've got to work. It's summer. You've got to collect your harvest and everything like that. That's the covenant of rest because then you rest in the winter. You see how you can decipher everything in the Bible through this science. It's pure science, that what's in the Bible. You needn't worry that God has a covenant of rest and a covenant of works and what that means, in a detrimental, theocratic, judgmental way, that this hierarchical, interventionalist, patriarchal, buffoon, Humpty Dumpty God is going to inflict on you. It's not going to happen. It's science.
That is the best description I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, and it's still not the full description. There's a lot of other epithets and descriptions because it's ridiculous. And it's time for humanity to wake up. Wake up to the beautiful science of the Spirit and the spiritual wisdom that liberates. See, Hermes is the liberator. The artificial Christ that they've created, he is the enslaver. It's actually the twin brother of Satan, and the magnetic enslaving energies is what the elites are using to give us their Luciferian satanic version of this. It's all erroneous and we needn't pay any attention to them. Nor must you rest content with observing each cardinal point. You must note with a retentive mind the spaces between them, which extends over a larger range and possesses special powers. The curve which stretches from the Orient to the topmost point of the circle claims the earliest and infant years, the slope which sinks from the summit of the sky till it reaches the Occident, succeeds to the years of childhood and includes in its province control of tender youth. It's talking about this, saying there's the youth, there's the adult, and there's the waning years. And then you start walking around with a walking stick and you die. Born, youth. Spring is youthful. That's why Taurians, Geminians and Arians they're the babies of the zodiac. Because this is the baby. The sun is a baby here, right? The portion which appropriates the setting heaven and descends to the bottom of the circle rules the period of adult life, a period tested by incessant change and checkered fortunes. But the part by which return to the Orient heaven's course is done, but the part by whose return to the Orient heaven's course is done, and which with enfeebled strength slowly ascends the back-bent arc, this part embraces the final years, the back-bent arc, the final years, the fading twilight, and palsied age. In any geniture, every sign is affected by the sky's division into temples. And now he goes into the houses, and I'll stop there. Okay, that was a bit heavy reading, but basically what he's telling us is this. Let me just start this again. And we're going to do a big version of this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the same thing, except now the Tropic of Cancer is here and the Tropic of Capricorn is here. So what you can see what I did, that original circle in here, remember, I've made it large now, okay? And here is your, there's your cross. Remember the earth. That's the symbol for the earth. The ancients knew what they were doing. Oh yeah. Now, so the sun here at December the 21st is climbing the mountain. That's the shortest day of the year. And that's the longest day of the year. Very important to understand that, because that is obviously the beginning of a waxing, waning cycle. Is it not? Right? Just like Sister Moon.
This is all in the Northern Hemisphere stuff?
No, this is both hemispheres.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, here in Australia, this is the longest day of the year, December the 21st, right? But the science is Northern Hemisphere oriented. There's many reasons for that. I can quote Pappas, I can quote Thomas Burgoyne. I won't go into that right now, but it works. The north, because this is the north. And you're going to see Aries is in fact the north. It's not the east. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But it doesn't matter where you are. Southern Hemisphere, wherever you are, this science works because it works like this. March is the head of the human being there. The feet will never be there. So an Arian will never be a Piscean. He will always be an Arian if he's born on the 24th of March. Simple as that. The sun is in your head, it's not in your feet on the 24th of March. It will always be like that. Because once it splits that point there, see, let's have a look at this point. Equilibrium, equilibrium. So here we are beginning a new cycle. This is the waxing and the waning cycle, but this is the light cycle and this is the dark cycle. So one starts here and one starts there. Let's have a look at Sister Moon. That's Brother Jesus. Jesus is the sun. Mary Magdalene, the moon, what's she doing? It's important to note what the sun and the moon do every year in relation to each other. Here's the moon in her 29 days, 29 days. She's doing the same thing. Notice where I put quarter moon? It's quarter moon right now. Actually tonight, if you look up, you'll see it's quarter moon, right? Venus in the east, beautiful. She's come up now. It's only a few days she's been up. And Jupiter opposite. Quarter moon, Jupiter and Venus, you will never see anything more beautiful. Check it out in the next week or so, because it'll be going away. Another 7 days, of course, because it'll be full moon soon. So please check it out. I saw it last night. It was magnificent. So there's Sister Moon. She is the magnetic hub of the solar system, and the sun is the electric. It's father and mother. It's our father and our mother, okay? In the emerald tablets of Enoch or Thoth or Hermes or Mercury, it says there clearly that the sun is the father and the moon is the mother, and you'll see why in astrology. This is how it works. So as the moon begins at new moon here, she climbs up for 1 week, and then she's at quarter moon here, just as the sun is at quarter. And now he's actually going to wax, just like the moon does, and he's going to, in spring, and he's going to provide more light. Because down here, there is more darkness than light. He is obstructed in his vitality and his ability to give us that summer energy, to revitalize the season so that we can eat and live. You see how the sun is our saviour, how Jesus is our saviour? right? You'll see how it works in astrology. It's very important. Then the moon climbs up and she's enthroned as the high priestess. This is Isis, up to here. And then Nephthys begins to wane. And she's the evil twin sister of Isis. You don't do stuff when the moon's waning. You know, stuff like plant. My father, this little Virgo Italian man from Calabria, he used to go around, we grew up in the Victorian Alps, tobacco country, and he always grew stuff. He can grow anything because he knows the moon. He knows the moon backwards. He knows when to plant what, when, where. And he'd go around to all the neighbours and he'd say, see your carrots? They're not going to survive. And they'd be going, dang, Vic's just cursed my carrots. And they got, and they didn't survive. Because your potatoes, they're good, that's good. And when did you plant those? No, that's no good. This is good, that's good. He went around to everybody's gardens and told them how they were going to succeed. You think astrology's got nothing to do with anything? This is where you plant. You plant in this portion when the moon's rays have a certain polarization, because they polarize one way here and polarize another way there. Okay, in the waxing and the waning. The sun is the same. We need to observe the sun in the same light. He waxes, he wanes. He's in his kingdom of light, he's in his kingdom of darkness. And this is how the metaphysical aspects of how astrology is to be understood. One more thing that we need to understand, okay? And I'm going to be reading from a beautiful passage from this book to explain to you something amazing. And you're going to be heads up on all other astrologers with this information. I'll go straight to the page, and then I'll have to do some reading to support what I'm about to share with you. This is what Firmicus Maternus tells us, okay? He tells us that the ancients gave us a universal birth chart. The universe has a birth chart, and guess what? Aries is the medium caelum, the MC, the mid-heaven. Aries. Because Aries is the mid-heaven. It is the heavens. When you face up, when you're daily, when you get about and doing your things, your Aries is always at the top in the heaven. This is considered to be heaven, because in here and in the Taurus, which is this part of the body, are the most precious stars. Sorry for all this running around there, cameraman. These stars in here, when you look at, when you consider Taurus, you will see that there is a little star cluster called the Pleiades. And these are the Hyades. And there's this beautiful red star called Aldebaran, and the red star Betelgeuse. This is all happening in the head. This is the heavens. Because all this stuff, the Pleiades correspond to the pineal gland. And Alcyone, the governing star of the solar system, that's pretty much the throne of God. That's in the pineal gland. That's the throne of God. And so, Firmicus Maternus teaches us that the mid-heaven is Aries. Now, I'm going to get back to this, but we're just going to do a little bit of a divergence here. The Egyptians, this is pure Hermetic, because the Egyptians also placed the stars like this. Okay, it's fine to do that. It's perfect. In fact, that's how it is. But you must understand in your mind that that point of the equinox is happening up here. March the 31st is here. The break of dawn is here. The sun always illuminates the mind first. You see, when the sun comes up at 6 a.m. in the morning on March the 21st, bang, the light is in your head. There is fire in your head. The pineal gland and the pituitary gland are in your head. And so you see how the ultraviolet ultraviolet, infrared, because red is the bottom chakra and violet is in Aries, right? Because these are the colours of heaven. Okay? Now, the Egyptians understood this because they placed the scales of Libra right down here in the underworld. In fact, they said the soul coming from Cancer, the moon, it descends and goes through the 7 orbs and reaches maturity as a soul and ascends out of Saturn in Capricorn. So the soul ascending from the moon and incarnating goes through the orbs. The moon, the sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. They are the 7. They are the 7 chakras that need to be activated. The 7 powers that were granted to us. You see, the vestments, as our souls come down, and Manly P. Hall's really good for this. You need to, if you're enjoying this subject, please get into the audio files of Manly P. Hall and study how he explains the vestments that these planets give us. You see, they are really vestments that are heavy to carry. They're not vestments that are in our favour because they subject our unconditioned consciousness. But never mind. We still, as we descend through those 7 heavens and we get prudence from Saturn and rationality from Jupiter and will from Mars and divine will from the Sun, and we get sensuousness from Venus and intellect from Mercury and imagination from the Moon. These vestments, it's up to us to activate them. If they stay asleep when we die, that's not going to help us ascend. Ascension is not a new age. Is not a new age idea. It's hermetic. We must ascend. We've got to get back to course. We're not supposed to stay in incarnation. We're supposed to wake up one day and work out our spiritual source and essence and return to it. It's bliss. That's where the bliss is. So what they did there, you see, is the judgment hall is down in Tartarus. So we must have our hearts weighed. And guess who's there? The jackal. He's always there. Well, because in Libra is where the lupus, the wolf, resides. So he's always there after the sun goes through the scales. And he is always there ready to judge the soul if it's going to ascend. And you see Sagittarius is waiting at the last day of December the 21st with his arrow to send you off into the rings of Saturn.